I'd like to call to order the Monday, April 28th, 2025 City Council meeting. With the record of attendance, Rhonda, please.
Baker.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Turnbow.
Here.
And Ware.
Here.
We'll have the opening prayer by Tom Robinson and the Pledge of Allegiance immediately after by Lorenzo Ware.
Dear Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to care for the world you have made. We ask that your blessing would rest on this council, that you would give us great vision and enthusiasm for our work. Please bless the efforts of our hands, the bonds between us, and the influence of our work in this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Before we start off tonight, we got a special presentation for a individual that has served on the city council for the last 3 years. That's yours too, don't forget that. Actually, working with John, I've known John for a while, being with JCs and everything, but John, and now I see you running for co-chairman, right? He's still involved there, so anyway, John, when I first came on board, didn't know John that well, just knew of him, and then anything that came to financial and or anything to do with military, this is our man right here, financial especially, because he'd say, oh, they really don't care about flood insurance, or they care about flood insurance, or whatever. He was always, everybody on the board has a position, but usually they have some kind of expertise, and John was always the guy that I could depend upon, that I could ask him any question about, because John's in the banking, of course, but asking John, saying, interest, when we're looking at loans or anything like that, and John, if he didn't have the answer, he made something up, because he didn't ever really. But in all reality, he has been a great asset to this council, and we are really going to miss him. We have other people that have filled his spot, and they will do as well or even better than what John did. Notice I said even better because he's leaving me now. He still has he didn't term out, but he has other things he has to do for right now, and then he's probably going to come back after he gets through those things. He did a great job for the city of Sikeston, and I'm very proud to say I served with John Liable. Now, I'm going to drop one of these times. It's going to break. I'd like to present him with the city of Sikeston, presented to Councilman John Liable for the service and dedication to the city of Sikeston, April 22nd, through April 2022 through April 2025. I'd like to congratulate John Liable and thank you for all this. Speech or anything? Oh, no, I didn't come prepared. I thought you'd make up something. Great job. We'll miss you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Told you he said he had other things to do. Now moving forward, the chair would accept a motion to adjourn into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in public hearing, and the item on public hearing is the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, and JD, you have the floor.
Sure. I'll just kind of introduce the budget, and then the council can take public comment, and then we have, as the first item of business, if the council has any direction they want to give to us to work on anything on the budget. But you have in your packet today the first draft of the budget for FY26, the next fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts on July 1. We have on the calendar to discuss the budget on June 2nd, and then to adopt it on June 9th. And then we can schedule a meeting before then if the council feels the need to have any other meetings on the budget, we can do that. The city council can direct any changes they desire to this draft of the budget up until the time we adopt it. Although the earlier the better. So Amanda doesn't have to make a bunch of changes the night before, but she would be happy to if that's what we need to do. Also, I always tell the council people, particularly our new ones that get thrust into this and their second meeting have to look at the budget, that I'm willing to meet with any of the council people one-on-one and walk you through the whole entire budget. It's 60-something pages of spreadsheets, so willing to walk you through that. The overall context of this year's budget is that most of our major revenue sources are down: sales tax, use tax, marijuana tax, all of our franchise fees, traffic fines. While most of our major cost drivers are up at the same time: health and property and liability insurance, equipment costs, vehicle costs, personnel costs, and more. So to manage this hopefully temporary downturn, we have made cuts in many areas to preserve money for higher priority projects, non-discretionary items, contracts we have in place, and to keep employee salaries competitive. I am recommending in this budget that we spend down the general fund balance or the reserves by about $350,000. I normally would not recommend that to spend down the fund balance on operations, but in this case, I don't want to make large structural changes like reductions in force or reductions in service based on what is hopefully a temporary downturn. If our sales, particularly our sales and use tax revenues, continue to trend downward next year, we might have to consider bigger adjustments, but I really don't want to make those quite yet. We do maintain healthy reserves for exactly this type of situation, to weather temporary downturns. Some of the highlights of what we are spending in this budget: after 2 tornadoes in less than a year, emergency preparedness is at the top of mind for us. We have 3 new generators in this budget. One for the what we call the back shop at the Public Works complex, and that's where we direct all the operations of the Public Works department. A generator at the Clinton building, which serves as our backup emergency operations center. So we have beefed up wiring and internet capabilities at that building over the last couple of years, and we now want to add a generator. So if, heaven forbid, DPS headquarters becomes disabled, we can move our emergency operations over to the Clinton building. And then we have a third generator, which would at the airport, and it would actually be the second generator at the airport, so we can run both the terminal building and either the fuel system or the runway lights if we are out of power. So in a really bad emergency, the airport is going to be crucial to getting goods in and out of Sikeston, and even in a relatively small emergency like an ice storm or a tornado that knocks out power for a few days, continuing to operate the airport is important. We also have money in there to renovate the offices next door over here, the chamber offices, some meeting space. We have the addition of GPS and dash cams to the city fleet, a new septic system at the animal shelter, a new front-end loader, street sweeper, and tractor in the streets division. Also kind of in the emergency realm, a salt brine mixing system and tank, so we can do more pre-treatment of the streets in our snow and ice removal efforts. Continued expansion of security efforts in the parks with additional cameras and remotely locking doors for bathrooms. We've got 2 new playground replacements in there. Some more improvements at the Clinton building, new flooring in the lobby and a new divider curtain. We've got several grant-funded projects, airport runway improvements, airport apron improvements, stormwater drainage improvements, some trail improvements, and then there's a whole lot more mundane projects that aren't real flashy, but are nevertheless crucial for day-to-day services that Sikeston residents rely on. So if any, well, I guess we should take some public comment, and then if the council has any questions, we're willing to try to answer those now or bring back answers later. And again, any changes the council wants to make to this budget, it's the city manager's recommended budget at this moment, but when you adopt that ordinance in June to adopt it, it becomes your budget. So you should direct any changes you want to make that your budget.
Cindy, I'm sorry. I know you said, what was that date in June that?
June 2nd, we'll do first reading on all the budget and staffing ordinances. June 9th will be final adoption.
Yes, sir.
Has the state given any explanation why the sudden drop in sales tax first year?
No, but I would say that it's pretty universal. I mean, both Amanda and I are seeing in our professional groups that it's pretty much statewide, the sales tax and use tax trending downwards. I just anecdotally, the example I use is with inflation. You know, I drive an 11-year-old truck with 180,000 miles on it, and if a new truck costs $30,000 like it did a few years ago, I might replace it. But when the price is at $50,000, I might try to make that thing last a few more years. So I think that's happening all over the place with people's personal spending decisions.
Seems like a sudden drop in January.
You know, I think if Amanda can talk more about this, but it's been.
Ours has been trending down
Yeah.
all year. It didn't just start in January. So over the course of the whole last year. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's pretty. What we have budgeted is essentially identical to what we received in fiscal year 2024. So really, that means we're budgeting flat revenues for about a 3-year period.
So did you take your wife's credit card? That's what we want to know. Is that why all the taxes are down?
Have we dipped into the reserves for operational before?
No, not really. Our reserves are very, very healthy. Our reserve policies are that we should have 25% of revenues as reserves in non-restricted funds. So funds like the general fund, and our general fund is our biggest one. And those reserves are well over 50%. So we've got twice as much in the bank account as our reserves require. And in some of the smaller funds, I mean, we have even higher reserves than that. So I'm not concerned at all about dipping into that extent. Like I said, if some of these trends continue next year, you know, we may want to take a harder look at structural, changes in the budget.
Taking the funds out like that, what's it reduce our percentage?
Oh, I think it only reduces it down to 51% or something. So and that's the general fund only. So they're still very healthy, way above our policies.
Which is good to have. But any other questions? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second. Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in general session. And the first item was the proposed budget. So just in case somebody missed the last time, does anybody have any questions about the budget at all?
And I think especially if the council wants us to make any changes, it'd be a good time to propose that right now. But again, I'm willing to sit down with any of the council members and walk through it page by page. There's a lot of different revenue sources, a lot of different funds that are, some are restricted, some unrestricted, so happy to walk through those details personally.
Well, I mean, half the council's not here tonight, so hopefully they'll have some input at some point.
Any other comments? Thank you, JD. Next item is the first reading of Bill 6376, rezone 4 properties on Fifth Street from single-family R2 to highway commercial. The chair would accept a motion for the first reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading. Tabitha, please.
This bill, as approved, shall become ordinance number 6376, providing for the rezoning from single-family R2 to highway commercial C3, the following described real estate, to wit, 108, 110, 112, and 114 5th Street, containing 2 acres, more or less, which is situated within Scott County, Missouri. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Sikeston, Missouri, as follows. This bill includes sections 1 through 7, all of their parts and subparts, and it's read and introduced this first time, the 28th day of April, 2025.
Thank you. And Barry, I believe you have the floor on this.
Yes, sir. How are you tonight, council? This was brought up at the April 9th Planning and Zoning meeting. There was communication from Mr. Bizzle, was on site that day. We did talk about his future plans, which is to possibly build more housing over there that they would use as rental property, I believe, correct? The board did hear from a letter from a concerned citizen in the area, but their main concern was what might happen to the property after Mr. Bizzle leaves us. But they believe Mr. Bizzle is a good businessman and would do very good with the property, but had no other issues. We did approve, Planning and Zoning did approve that to come to you guys now. So we'll be seeking next reading for you guys to approve that zoning reclassification to commercial C3.
Any questions or comments for Barry? Yes, sir.
What's around Fifth Street there that's commercial?
Bizzle's business is right there. Yep, across the street. But the property that runs along Smith Street right there is commercial, and this actually butts up to it. So under zoning laws, there's no requirements. It doesn't allow that to become C3 commercial right there. It's not changing anything, or it's not a violation of any of the zoning laws right there. So
what they're wanting to go to highway commercial, what are they planning on putting there?
Probably some rental houses. They own some across the street that attaches actually to their current business property, and they plan on building some more across the street. There was 2 old abandoned houses there that needed to be torn down, which they bought and demolished those dilapidated structures, and have cleaned up the property, and they're going to actually put new residential places in there for people to be able to have right there.
Why is it going to commercial if
They'll have to answer that for you.
Highway commercial C3, when they're going to put houses there?
We don't get into that. I mean, that's their business. If that's what they want to do, they've asked for the rezoning. If Ms. Bizzle's here and Mr. White's here instead of his dad, but if they would like to answer that for you, they're more than welcome to.
So we plan to build rental properties on that property, and for us to build rental, it has to be zoned commercial. It can't be zoned as residential. So with us taking the 2 acres and wanting to develop it, it has to.
How come I have rental property that's not on commercial?
It's grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Well, that may be good.
So basically, Barry, clarification, what they're doing, if you were going to do a parcel and put rental houses, knowing up front, it doesn't have to be into the highway commercial if you're going to put rental properties.
No, it does not have to be, because if you build a house in the middle of the R2 section of town and you buy it and you decide that you want to build a house, and whether you sell it or maybe you can't sell it and you decide to rent it, you can't change it to R3 or highway because it would be a zoning infraction. But with this, they're wanting to do it this way because they're going to be duplexes. But also, if something ever happens and they decide to expand their business across the street, they already have zoning there. They did it because the lots are bare right now, and they wanted to go ahead and ask for that justification because they own a property that faces Smith Street and Fifth Street there. And that right there would give them the opportunity if something ever happened to those, because both of those houses had fires. They've had one in their house across the street. So if something ever happened and they decided they didn't want to rebuild that, if Mr. D and his wife eventually sometime, they could expand their business there, because they would have to have commercial zone to be able to expand their business into.
And Jim, there's businesses all the way down through there, so if it's what they want to have, and it's no, planning and zoning's okay with it, and for doing it that way, all they're doing is making it better around there.
There's no spot zoning. That's the biggest thing. There's no spot zoning going on.
I understand that, but I'm just worried that at some point, by making it C3, at some point, if these houses that they're gonna build become dilapidated, then they can come in there and somebody can come in there and put, oh, it's zone C3. We can put this industrial whatever there.
Well, they can't put industrial. That would be light industrial, heavy industrial.
There's highway commercial, so
Yeah.
there's lots of things they can put in there that would not help the neighborhood if it's a C3 rather than, like you said, it's an R2 single. I can understand that not being,
Absolutely. And like I said, this is why we go through planning and zoning. Planning and zoning hears the case, and then they give approval, and then the ultimate approval comes back to the council, so they can approve or deny the request for the rezoning of C3 property.
I mean, also, then Jim, if they were decided to expand, it's not for us to decide for them, why they want to do something. If they want to do it and there's not a problem with it, and they're actually making, I've been with David over there when they tore those houses down that were in bad shape. And all honestly, Jim, if you look what they're doing compared to where some other houses are around there that we're having issues with, I wouldn't be concerned about what they're doing. I'd be concerned about, if they can do more, honestly. So, they're really making things better. And if they want to expand their business later on, that's fine. And if there's no problem with it, I say we just go forward.
Oh.
Lorenzo, you have something?
I was just saying, Mr. Crow, I wish you could see this on the screen because you would see that it's commercial.
We don't have it up.
Have it in right next to it, but Crow can't see that.
Yeah.
So that's all.
He said it's basically almost surrounding it.
Exactly.
With commercial right now.
And I have a map here if you want to see it, Mr. Crow, afterwards, or we can discuss it now if you want to.
Is that clear enough, Mr. Crow?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Are any other questions? Thank you, Barry.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Let's see, the next item is Resolution 250401, public comment policies. And is that you, JD?
Yeah, I can take that.
Okay, JD's got it.
Mayor and council, the city currently has no written policies in place for citizens who wish to address the city council at public meetings. Most cities and public organizations do have some written procedures. We have been blessed, I would say, that our meetings have not gotten out of hand, and people are typically very cordial and respectful with one another, and we want to make sure that continues and make sure everybody can be heard in an orderly and a civil manner. So we have put into writing for you here some of our practices that have generally been in place and a few other clarifications. So essentially, if somebody, if you were to adopt these procedures, if somebody wanted to address the council, we would have them approach the podium. Some of this is also driven by the fact that we are now broadcasting these meetings, and so it would be better to have people speak from the microphone so that it's picked up on the broadcast as well. So people would come to the podium. We would have a sign-in sheet for them to put their name on, so that Rhonda would have the correct spelling for the minutes. And then the mayor would acknowledge the citizen. The citizen would have 3 minutes to make their comments on the agenda, on a particular agenda item. And then we would still have the other, what we call other items, agenda item at the very end. So if there's something not on the agenda that somebody wants to address, they can still do that. And we've kept it pretty simple here relative to other bodies. We're not asking people to sign up ahead of the meeting. We're not asking people to limit how many people can comment on a particular item. It does ask that the commenter address their comments to the city council, and then the city council can ask staff for clarification. Just some typical decorum type items for a public meeting. So that is what we have before you. If you'd like to see something different, we are happy to make adjustments.
I think that, this policy needs to be in place. Typically on most topics, it's pretty simple. Everything works really well, and it's pretty casual, but there are certain times that you might have a lot of people in the room, and if you get the same person just speaks out from the seat, and same person, not everybody that would like to talk gets to talk. Because you'll allow us doesn't mean that you get the most time. And we want to give everybody a chance, but we won't give the quiet person a chance as well as the loud person. So we think this policy is a start, so that whenever we do have issues like that, we can have people come up to the podium and speak directly to the council, not to each other. And we've had a few instances where they would speak to each other, and we needed to correct that, so they just speak to us. So anyway, the chair, are there any questions or comments on this policy?
So sometimes it's going to take longer than 3 minutes to, I don't understand. So they can ask a question and they might get that done in 3 minutes, but if there's a follow-up, how does that work? Like, do they not get to talk anymore?
We could write into this if the council has a follow-up question for that person. I think what most of these procedures generally want is you don't have somebody comes up, speaks for 3 minutes, sits down, somebody else speaks, and then they get up again and talk for another 3 minutes, several times. And again, we've been pretty blessed here that we haven't had people behaving badly.
Right. That's kind of what I guess I'm getting at. Is I don't think it has been a problem. So I hate to make it look like we're trying to keep people from coming in and having a conversation with us.
I think just the opposite. I have a fire extinguisher at my house, but I don't have a fire yet. There's going to be topics every once in a while that come up to where it has happened on a couple of occasions where they start talking back and forth and everything else, and we're trying to break in to get them. If you have something to say, and if it's a question answer thing, then we can sort of vary the 3 minutes by saying, we're talking at the same time. But if they come up and want to make a case, they can't make a case in 3 minutes. It was you being a councilman. If you got to have to ask a question on one topic, and 3 minutes is a long time whenever you're talking about that.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. I was like, only takes a minute to ask a question, but we may spend 5 minutes on an answer, and they may have a follow-up question after that.
Right. If someone came up and asked a question, and we spend a lot of the time answering it, I think we got to give a little bit of variance. If they didn't talk for 3 minutes, they only talked for 30 seconds, but it brought in 5 minutes of conversation, then, we're going to look at that. But if they want to get up there and talk, if they want to talk about a problem or a situation, now this is just my thoughts, and the council can go any way they want, is if they sat up there and talked for 3 minutes on, cat leashes in the city of Sikeston, well, then I think that's a long time for talking about cat leashes for the city of Sikeston. But if they want to come up there and ask a question and we answer it for 5 minutes, then I think you got to give them a little variance on that.
Yeah.
Personally. Sorry about the example, but who cares about cats and leashes? I don't know. Apparently, some people do. Look at Jay, look at me awful shocked.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, as well, or a suggestion. I would like, if we're going to go to this, I know it says that the city clerk will keep the time. I think we need to have a timer so the people out there speaking can see how much time they have to speak during this process, if they need to speed up or, to get their point across, as Tom said. So most observations I see, there's a timing clock that the clerk starts when they start speaking, so they know when the time is themselves. So I think that would be a good addition. So,
I know sometimes with stuff like that, they also have the time, and then like a light of, if you have a clock that after the last, minute or 30 seconds, a yellow light comes on, and I don't know if those are very expensive at all. I wouldn't think so. It'd be just a little clock that could sit on the corner of her desk. But I wouldn't have a problem with that either. Mr. Crow?
So if you adopt this, will the procedure be, I raise my hand and you call me and then I go to the podium?
Yes.
Or I think the way it's written, if somebody just approached the podium, you could recognize them to speak.
If you had like 4 people raise their hands, I guess they just have to get in line then. Instead of me calling him Mr. Crow and then somebody else. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other, whether I call on him or whether they stand in line, and if there's 4 people ready to speak behind each other and do the time that way. I'm good with either way. Any other questions? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-04-01.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
and Baker.
Yes.
Thank you. The next.
How did we talk with that? We're going to the timer. Talking about adding that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think that's easy.
Yeah,
to do.
we'll do
Where they can
around,
see it,
find something.
they'll know.
Rhonda can just click on and off, probably just from the corner of her desk.
I mean,
It could be reset.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
It's
you just
reset whenever they
push
I'm
it.
talking about whenever we answer
Exactly.
a question.
I bet you could pause it.
Oh, okay, I got what you're saying.
In other words, like if the clock is running and then all of a sudden they ask a question and we start talking, you could probably pause the clock. They do it in Congress all the time. So anyway, you could probably pause the clock.
Get an hourglass.
How you gonna stop the sand like this? But yeah, I think the clock is a good idea too, and we can look into that and see how much one of those runs.
Yeah, we'll find something.
The next item is Resolution 250402, transfer of 2 DARE vehicles to David Carnell's of Carnell's Collision. And JD, you have that right?
Yeah, our Captain Haskin, I think, will.
Okay.
We have 2 DARE vehicles that we're not using anymore. They haven't been in service for several years now. I believe one of them was donated to begin with. We're trying to turn both of these vehicles over to David Carnell, who donated all the time, effort to have them painted, especially. Again, the equipment in them is worthless to us, so there's no use for us to keep them, and it would be a donation back to him, and thanks for his efforts in keeping those up for us over the years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, David said that anytime we had a special event that we wanted them there or a parade or anything like that, he's going to keep them maintained, cleaned up. And he also did touch up throughout whenever they were in service.
Yes. Yeah. Anytime we had any kind of dent, scratches, or anything with it, he was more than happy to take care of it for us.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we have any DARE vehicles now?
We don't operate a DARE program now.
Okay.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. Roll call vote. Rhonda, please.
Turnbow,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
and Robinson.
Thank you. The next item is award commercial property and casualty insurance and cyber insurance. And Carrie, you have the floor.
I do. If you guys remember, we gave the broker services to Anderson and Green back in January, and they went out for a bid for our renewal for the insurance. And unfortunately, our insurance is going to go up 23, almost 24%. Part of that is adding additional costs to our property value, as well as equipment value. That was about 6% of the overall increase. And then the actual renewal was about a little over 17%. So we did have them look at making some deductible changes, but with those changes, the risk in claims is based on what we've seen in the past. It's not an overall savings. So we are recommending that we go with the original renewal and keep our deductibles the same where they're at. I will say they did look at another company, and their quote was just under $1 million. So Travelers is still saving us some money there. So.
Is there just 2 companies out there that do it?
Feel that one?
Yes.
So we actually shopped it with about 4 different companies. One declined to quote. One told us they would not be competitive on pricing. One did send back a quote that was almost $400,000 more than what Travelers was. It's hard with municipalities, especially if you carry that law enforcement with it, to get the liability coverage that you all have with Travelers. And the airport makes it a little more complicated too, to keep it all in one spot. And you usually save money by keeping it together instead of doing it piecemeal with multiple carriers.
Any more questions or comments? See none. Go ahead.
I got a question. I don't know that I'll be able to vote on this because my first cousin is the business owner, but
I don't know.
Renewal, I'm not sure.
No, because we already hired them, so I think you ought to be able to do it because it's about the insurance companies it's on bids. Am I right? So
well, Carrie had called me, and that's why I didn't. With that, I didn't think it would matter because I'm not deciding between another company. But here,
he's good on that, is he, or is he not?
Because he's safe to abstain.
If he abstains, we can't have a quorum, so we won't be able to.
His first cousin is with Anderson and Green. They've already been awarded the bid for broker service.
So you're just deciding between.
Right.
Yeah, this is the vote between Travelers and.
We've already hired his cousin, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You abstained from that, right?
I abstained.
He was out. He abstained from that.
But he did abstain for that vote. Yes.
That's the only thing I was here on.
I
But
would say he was safe then.
so you should be safe since they're already hired, and then it's just
There's no
Since it's either way, so it doesn't affect them.
right.
Just wanted to check before.
Better safe than
But
sorry.
yes, it never hurts to check. So okay. Did any other questions? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion.
I'll make a move that we, or make a motion that we accept the Travelers bid as presented.
All right, I will second.
Motion made and second. Roll call vote, Rhonda, please.
Ware,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
and Turnbow.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
The next item is, where am I at?
So it should be the airport. Agreements with Hanson.
Approve agreements with Hanson Professional Services for airport projects. And Jay, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The bid in the packet for council, if you printed this out, there's a lot of pages for this line item, and I wish it could be a lot simpler. It should be a lot simpler. Basically, we are working on a runway and apron improvement project at the Sikeston Airport. This is being funded over 90%, just a little plus, from funds through state and federal aviation sources. We've already selected Hanson as our consultant on a 5-year basis. That's how the airport business does it. This is actually just to make everything official with them for this project specifically. I would love to say it could be one simple agreement, but the runway and apron projects are funded from separate sources. So first of all, you have to split those into two. Then you have to split each of those into two because they are separating the design or the pre-construction services from the construction inspection side, which is during construction phase of the project. So basically we have a runway design and inspection agreement, and we have a apron design and inspection agreement for a total of 4 agreements. In the latter part of the council letter, I break down the costs for each of those, with showing the 90% being reimbursed by MoDOT for the apron project, for the design and the inspection. And then if you notice on the runway project, it's at 95%. So basically what this is just a formal approval of the consultant agreements for the design bid phase and the construction inspection phase separately for the runway and apron. And we're just seeking council's blessing on these amounts that have already been presented. Everything is budgeted. Everything is as it should be. This is just the formal blessing of these separate agreements.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Jay? I have a lot of questions. That's confusing, Jay. I mean, it's not your fault. It is confusing. It's not your fault.
It seems like a very clunky way to do what I would like to say could have been just one simple agreement. But because of the way the funding is, it requires all these to be separated.
And most of the funding is paid for by others, so we need to pass this. Yeah.
We can handle that.
So, Chair would accept the motion.
So I move that we bless this agreement like Jay has asked us.
Very good.
Need it spelled out in the motion?
I think between me and Rhonda, we can probably figure it out.
We got it.
Anybody second? Did anybody second?
I'll second.
Motion made second. Roll call vote. Rhonda, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Turnbow,
Yes.
and Ware.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other items to be brought before the council tonight? Seeing none, the chair would accept a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in executive session.